Hey guys, if you've been following the news on Ragnarok Online, you pretty much know that the next collaboration job will be One Punch Man. If you're not aware what One Punch Man is, it's go online. It's a bald guy, it's an awesomely strong bald guy. Um, so there are two jobs. One is Saitama and then one is his sidekick Gems. Saitama is going to be a physical character and he's going to be our topic for today. So we're going to be talking about his skills, buffs, and some more details about him. I want to set your expectations before we proceed. Everything I will be talking about is based on unstructured data in CBT. There's a good chance that these may change when it comes out, or there's also a good chance that maybe I understood them wrong, right? So don't quote me on this. But nothing's final yet, and I may have misunderstood stuff. But I'll do my level best to try to provide the details to you so that you can basically decide whether you want to prepare for this job or not. Again, before we proceed, thanks to Team Leaks for extracting the game data. More power, everyone. Okay, Saitama is going to be a hero job. If you don't know what hero jobs are, they're very much simplified characters like Thanatos and Nidhogg. They do have less skills. They don't have first, second, and third jobs, and they have a core hero passive. And the way you level up the core hero passive is by unlocking the second line of your runes. You have 6 rune slots. You insert a rune with a second line unlock, and then that levels up your core hero passive. So this is how the skill tree could potentially look like. So there's a hero passive. There are about 4 passive skills, 1 mobility skill, 3 buff skills, and then 2 attack skills. There's also a standalone attack skill, which seems to be a variation of one of the skills. So I'm guessing it's probably an auto proc version, right? Similar to Viente Starfall, there is a version that you cast, but there's also a version that auto procs whenever you do an auto attack. Okay, the core hero passive is as follows. Um, Level 1 to 3, so at the base, every point of agi gives a certain percentage of move speed. It doesn't have to be 10. I've put in 10 here because it's easier to visualize it this way. But even 1 point of agi already gives something. It doesn't round it up or round it off. Also, each level increase of this skill adds bonus damage to attack skills based on the difference between Saitama's strength and the opponent's strength. This is a new mechanics. I'm gonna talk about that later, but this is a new mechanics basically. At level 4, you do get another function, which is basically a knockback and the slow to your attacks. So you attack an enemy with a skill, they do get knocked back and they do get slow applied to them. You get it to level 7, you do get additional more functions. Basically, when you knock back an enemy and they hit a wall, they will suffer a certain HP loss. It's a percentage of their HP. Also, there is a part that's kind of difficult to understand. I'm not sure if I understood this correctly, so please take this with a grain of salt. But what it does is, during normal attacks, I think it has a chance, based on several conditions, to use one of his skills. Also, it doubles the damage of the skill bonus in bullet number 2, this one, when attacking non-player enemies when using these 2 skills. We're going to talk about that later. Also, Saitama's normal attack has a dam change per or a skill multiplier of 6 or 600% and a skill hit of 0.3. The result also gets multiplied by 4 before computing AA damage multipliers and the other multipliers. I can't show you the whole snippet, but this is a snippet I took out of it. So auto attack is 2560, right? And basically what this is saying is whatever the damage is, you multiply it by 4. Okay, the mobility skill I was talking about is similar to Wormhole. Okay, I'm not sure if it's as good as Wormhole, but it's similar to Wormhole. It's 9 cells in distance, cooldown is 8 seconds, and there's about half a second of cast delay. There's a rune effect, if I understood it correctly, where you become immune to physical and magical damage after casting. Another passive skill, which is Righteous Heart, gives you a passive reduction from MVP and mini bosses. It gives you Fear Resist, it gives you Blind Resist, and it gives you Abnormal Status Duration Reduction. So if my math is correct, type 1 usually is skill level multiplied by A plus B. So what this does, if this is a max of 10, this basically means you take about 50% less damage from boss, because 0.05 multiplied by 10 is 0.5. You get 100% fear resist and 100% blind resist. And then you do get about 20% of abnormal status duration reduction. Pretty good skill. The next passive skill is Unscathed or Unharmed, roughly. What it does is it introduces a new parameter. It's called no hurt ratio. What it does is every level of the skill gives you about 10 points of no hurt ratio. So at level 10, it gives you 100. And then what it does is it calculates your strength and your vit and multiplies it by no hurt ratio and compares it with the damage that you received. So this damage is after reductions. And if the damage is less than the result of that computation, then it basically blocks the damage. So just so you can visualize, if you have 300 strength and then 300 fit, that's 600. You multiply it by no hurt ratio of 100, it makes it 60k. So basically anything below 60k will be blocked. This is just a passive. There's another skill later on where it's going to significantly boost this. Next passive skill is called Swift. What it does, if I understood it correctly, is it adds attack. Okay, it adds attack based on whatever excess move speed you have. So excess of 100, because 100 is a base move speed, multiplied by the skill level, multiplied by 50. So I'm not going to do the math for you. You can copy this and just scribble in your notepad, just to assess how strong this is. But this basically tells you that Moonlight Flower is going to be a must for this character. This skill also affects some of the other attack skills apart from the attack portion. This one also provides a certain multiplier. Okay, next off is Quick Fix. This is one of the passive skills that I have a difficult time understanding. But basically my interpretation is when you're auto-attacking, there's a chance, if certain conditions are met, there's a chance that you'll auto-use Serious Punch or skill 2572. We're going to talk about what that skill is later. But it does tell you that Saitama can both be a skiller and an auto-attack type. It also has a rune where whenever you auto-attack, you do get a chance to increase your skill dam reduct. Skill dam reduct is not your skill damage reduction, such as Blasphemy. This is more related to dam reduct. So there's a chance that you get that parameter. Okay, this one is a buff skill where you target an enemy. So it's called Focus Duel. It has a range of about 7 cells. It targets a single enemy, and the cooldown is 25 seconds. It's a fixed cooldown. Okay, so meaning you can't really reduce it. It has a cast delay of 1 second and costs about 200 SP. It's a new mechanic, so bear with me here. I'm gonna try my best to interpret this. But what it does is you and the enemy enters a duel status. So it's going to be a focused duel status. If the distance between both of you exceeds 15 cells, the duel will automatically end. While you're in the duel status, players not included in the duel are unable to deal damage and receive damage from both of you. Which means if I'm Saitama, I'm in duel with one player, other players can't deal damage to me, but at the same time, I also can't deal damage to them. Now, there's a rune effect wherein if Saitama kills the enemy, there is a temporary transfer of the enemy's strength over to Saitama. And so I think you know where this is going at, right? I mean, Saitama's skills builds up on strength, and so these duels allows you to rack up more strength so that you can use it to dish out one really strong attack. Okay, the next buff skill is called OverSpeed or something like that. What it does, it's a buff skill. It's a 25-second buff. Sorry, 25-second cooldown buff. It's a fixed cooldown. It's 100 SP cost, and the effects is as follows. It increases your damage increase, which is your PDI, right? It's 10% per level of the skill. So if you have it at level 5, it's going to be 50%. And then it increases your move speed by 20% per level of the skill. And it increases your no hurt ratio based on the skill level of Unscathed or Unharmed. So roughly what it gives you is 50% dam increase, 100% move speed and 500 no hurt ratio. Now you already know how strong 50% damage increases and 100% move speed is, but I want you to pay attention to no hurt ratio because from the passive you already have 100 no hurt ratio. You get this skill, right? You activate it, you do get an additional 500, which makes it 600. So for a certain duration, your no hurt ratio will be 600. And if you have 300 strength and 300 fit, which I think is fairly easy to accomplish, you're going to have 600 multiplied by 600, which is 360k. So any damage that deals 360k and below is automatically blocked for a certain duration. Now again, you still die to Doomsday, right? I don't think there's any way to go about that. But just imagine how strong that is. You basically block damage. It's not even a percentage chance. It just says you block damage if it's below 360k. So yeah, pretty strong skill if you ask me. Okay, next skill is called Exercise. So roughly this is a self buff that I think you can use instantaneously right after. It's a little bit new to me, but my interpretation of the effect is Saitama will exercise for X second, and then for his exercise, right, he gains agility, he gains dam reduc and M dam reduc, strength and vit, and it can stack up to 3 times. And then basically, I'm not sure if all the layers will go away or if the layers will go away one by one, but when you do dish out an attack, it deletes one or more of the layers. So yeah, as you can see, this is I think it's a pretty strong buff because what it adds, like if you look at the strength it adds, again, it's 5, right? So it's basically 5 per skill level. So it's going to be 50 strength per stack. And so if you have 3 stacks, it's going to be 150 strength. So a pretty good skill. Okay. Next off, we're going to talk about the damage skills. This one is more of like the weaker version of his damage skill. I wouldn't really call it weak, but in comparison to his other skill, this one's really weak. And the name is consecutive normal punches. If you've been watching the anime or if you've been reading the manga, you know that this is the punch that he uses to finish off characters when he's not serious. So what it does is it targets an enemy. It has a targeting distance of about 3 cells. It's a channeling skill, which is similar to FSH of Ninja, right? And it has a skill rate of about 30%. Cooldown is 4 seconds and cast delay is about 1 second. And so what it does is Saitama will punch the enemy 10 times. So it's a quick succession of 10 normal punches with a gap of 0.2 seconds for each punch. And enemies that are caught in these or the enemy that's caught in this punch will be unable to use some of their escape skills, such as wormhole, hiding. I think also the shadow leap. So there's a bunch of skills that they will be unable to use. So it's all in here. Also, based on the rune, there's also a certain value of damage reduction that it deducts from the enemy after each punch. And so the punches just get stronger and stronger because after each punch, the enemy loses a certain value of their damage reduction. Now, onto the computation for the damage. This is the snippet of the damage computation, but basically, damage change per is equals to 6, which is 600%. There's a bonus damage. I've talked about this earlier. There's a bonus damage based on the difference between Saitama's strength and the enemy's strength. So there's a condition here that you see. If strength, right, this is your strength, is greater than the enemy's strength, then B becomes this value. So it's the difference multiplied by your core hero passive multiplied by 0.02 multiplied by your attack final over again by def, all of these things except for the damage change per. So as you can see, a pretty strong skill, if you ask me. So it makes it okay. Based on the name, it looks like it's weak, but you know, when you go through the math and you apply all of the other passives and other buffs that the hero has, this can easily be, you know, one of the strongest attack skills in the game. I mean, obviously not the strongest. There's another one that's way stronger, but it's a pretty good skill. Also, if you're attacking a non-player enemy, and your core hero passive is at level 7, then the damage is multiplied by 2. Okay, likewise, this skill also benefits from strength. So apart from the base attack from strength, you also do get strength multiplied by 5 added to your attack final. So if you see here, this is this portion. And you do get to benefit from normal attack. So there are some gears where it says it gives you 100 normal attack or 200 normal attack. So you do benefit from those. Next one, and this is really the real deal with Saitama, the serious punch. So if you've been watching the anime, you do know that when he does get serious, his overall arc changes, it becomes more serious, and then his punches becomes incredibly strong. So what this does, in this one I'm not so sure yet, but what it does is it basically targets an enemy, but it affects not just the enemy, but also those behind the enemy. Okay, so there's a new logic here which called scale target behind rectangle. I am not sure if this is behind the target or behind Saitama. I think it makes more sense that it's behind the target, but yeah, just take it with a grain of salt. It has a distance of about 3 cells. Cooldown is 5 seconds and castle is 1 second. The effect is Saitama attacks an enemy, right? And there are some effects that I don't understand yet, but what it basically does, it deals huge damage and it makes the enemy spin for 1 second. Okay, maybe wondering what spin is. Spin basically is a 1 second duration where the enemy can't move or can't attack. So if you see here, no attack, no move, no skill, duration 1, speed 3000, type rotate self. First time I've seen this, again, I think it's just for Saitama. There are some other things that I don't know yet, okay, right? But you see there are certain aspects here that we did talk about earlier. It knocks back the enemy, right, by a certain distance. If it hits a wall, they do get a certain debuff, which is an HP loss debuff. So yeah, pretty amazing skill. Now, on to damage calculation. This one will make Asura Strike, or will make DF look like a joke, if you ask me. Okay, not just because of the computation itself, but overall with how Saitama stacks up the parameters that's needed for the skill. Okay, so the first, there's the whole computation is here, but let me just summarize for you. But basically, it does ignore enemy defense. So it's not just 100% ignore def, 200% ignore def. It just basically makes the value of def reduct equals to 1, similar to the ruthless slash rune of Nogu. Dam change per is 50, which is 5,000, plus strength over 5. It's a strength over 5 that's really gonna make the damage multiplier here astronomical, right? 5,000. I think in retrospect, some of the other jobs, the highest is about 38, 28, I think 36 or so, and then there's some additives to it. But this one, the base is 50, and then you get some more out of strength over 5. Also, there's a bonus damage based on the difference between Saitama and the opponent's strength. So when you do deal that humongous amount of damage, it's not done yet because, once again, the difference of the strength gets factored in, and it basically adds to the damage. Likewise, if you are attacking non-player enemies, damage is multiplied by 2, and if you're using Serious Punch, which is this skill, right? So 2563, 2572, then again, this portion gets multiplied by 2. Another thing is, remember I told you earlier about the move speed ratio? So move speed ratio here, right, is basically dependent on your passive, which is Swift. It gets a certain value out of it. I'm not going to go through the math right now. I mean, you can ping me in Discord if you're interested about it, but it does get a certain value, and it multiplies the damage by move speed by that percentage. So if you see here in A, it already multiplies it by move speed ratio. B doesn't get multiplied, but all the way at the end, the result of A plus B gets multiplied by move speed ratio again. And so this tells you how important move speed is for this character, because it's a twofold multiplication. It already multiplies A, right? So again, it's in A, but then it does it once again. The reason why it does it is because of PEMDAS. I'm not sure if this is intentional or whether they just wanted B to be multiplied by it, but yeah, this basically gets multiplied twice. Okay, another thing is this skill ignores flee. I don't have it here, but I checked the hit rate formula. If you're using the skill, then it basically ignores flee. So yeah, pretty strong skill if you ask me. Again, there's a standalone version that I was talking about, which was this one. This one. It does look like it is an auto-proc version of the skill. So it's quite possible that you can auto-proc Serious Punch by auto-attacking or by meeting certain criteria. I don't know yet. Okay, so that's it. Thanks everyone for watching. Again, please don't quote me on anything in here because this is just my interpretation of the unstructured data. Once we do get more clarity on the skills, Team Leaks will come out with an official, unofficial leak for Saitama. Also, I will be working on the Genus skill leaks. I'm not done yet. It's a lot of work. So if ever the structured data comes out before that, then I probably won't create a video, and then we'll just rely on what Team Leaks will release. Okay, everyone, if you do have questions, just let me know. Ping me in Discord. I've been busy lately, so I've been having troubles replying promptly, but I will get back to you. So thanks again, and if you haven't subscribed yet, just do subscribe and share these videos to all of your friends who are playing Ragnarok online. Thanks everyone, and you have a nice day.